morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tipsy with Tullia. And tonight we're going to do arguably one of the first cocktails ever, at least the first documented cocktails. It's the Sazerac. And the Sazerac oftentimes is attributed to be the first, but also sometimes the old-fashioned, or what was originally called in the old-fashioned way. But tonight we're going to do the Sazerac. And a little background on the Sazerac: it originates in New Orleans, and in 2008 was actually named the drink of New Orleans. So it's a classic. Also, I think one of the perfect cocktails because it's super balanced and.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little drink.
Yeah.
So, but it's also one of Tullia's favorites.
It is, in fact, my #1 favorite cocktail. I kind of fell away from it for a few years. It used to be I'd always go out and we would go to cocktail bars and stuff like that. And I would order it, and inevitably it's such kind of a specialty drink that not a lot of bars really know how to make it. So I started veering away from it because I didn't want to always have to explain how to make it every single time that I went in. But it's a really simple cocktail.
Yeah, it really doesn't have very much different elements than like even a Manhattan or an old fashioned.
Yeah.
But it is one that most bartenders in like kind of an average bar won't actually know how to make because no one calls for it.
And you know what's really kind of depressing is that a lot of bartenders in New Orleans don't know how to make it.
Exactly. In the city of
the Sazerac.
The Sazerac, yeah. It's actually it's not impossible, but it is a good quest to find a good one. As a matter of fact, we found one at Antoine's bar, at the Hermes bar, and this is the walker they give you to take with you. And I gotta tell you, that guy makes a great Sazerac.
Yeah, he did. And there's a couple of other variations on Sazeracs that sort of like a dialect, I guess, in a way. But the way we're going to make it today is from the Savoy cocktail book, and that's always my go-to, no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There's a couple of different variations, or like I said, they're kind of just like dialects of the Sazerac. We use absinthe, and we don't use a kind of traditional.
Pernod,
we don't use a traditional absinthe.
Correct.
But we use St. George absinthe, which is local to us in the
and also
area.
super delicious.
And it's very let's put it this way, botanical.
Yeah.
Because St. George is a distillery, they're famous for their vodkas and their gins, and so it's sort of, it was the first absinthe that was approved to be made in the States. Was probably about like 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they were the first one that started manufacturing an absinthe. Some people will say it's not a true absinthe, but it is delicious. But if you don't like licorice, you're probably not going to like this drink anyway. So forgive me.
There's not a lot of it though. It's just a hint of it. The thing about St. George, guys, is I do recommend any of their products. They originally made Hangar One vodka. Also, their St. George single malt whiskeys. They can't call it a Scotch, but it's a single malt whiskeys are very, very good as well. But so go ahead and let's make a drink now.
So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to start off with the absinthe. But what we're going to do, instead of doing a classic rinse with the absinthe, because that's what the recipe calls for, that would require drizzling a little bit of absinthe in there, rolling it around, just to coat the inside. We use a misto. I got this idea years ago from a cocktail bar that was local to here in San Jose, and they had a misto that they were using to do the rinses for a Sazerac.
So you just spray it in.
So you just spray it in. I kind of go a little heavier because I like absinthe. So, but you can see it cools up just a little bit, but it also just coats the inside. Kind of nice.
The cool thing about these mistos is that they're pretty inexpensive. And it lasts forever in here, just like it would a regular bottle. But I do recommend only using it for just your absinthe. If you don't convert one from your kitchen use in this, because you're never going to get that flavor.
So they're normally used for
olive oil, things like that.
Atomizers.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon super cheap. So
so the next stage, well, let me put this down and talk about, we have our mixing glass. Kelly and I got in a little argument about whether this is a mixing glass or shaker. I say it's a shaker because it actually comes with a shaker top.
I didn't know hers came with a shaker top. So
but it's also a classic cocktail mixing glass. It's the actually vintage. It's Noritake. Noritake bamboo, I think, is what the.
That's correct.
And this is the matching glass that goes with that, actually. So we're being fancy today. But favorite cocktail mixing glass. So we've got it half full with ice. Now we take our rye. I like Templeton rye. I just think it's a really nice balanced rye.
Yeah.
It's not too sweet, it's not too smoky.
Yeah.
It's got character, but it doesn't compete with
A little
things.
kick to it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So we're going to do 3 ounces of rye.
Which in this case is going to be 2 of...
2 of these big portions of the jigger. And then next we are going to do a dash or so of simple syrup. You can use, in fact, the original recipe even calls for using sugar cube.
Yeah, I think that having stable refrigeration really changed having simple syrup available, because if you didn't have that, it would go bad pretty quick. And so having a sugar cube, a lot of old cocktails call for like a sugar cube, which you would literally put the bitters on the sugar cube and then crush it and muddle it, which is not really necessary in modern times. Like I said, again, guys, we're using homemade simple syrup, and it's so easy to make. Never buy simple syrup.
1-to-1 water and sugar.
Yep.
And you can do it with like all different kinds of sugars too. I just whipped it up with just a regular refined sugar, but you can use demerara.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Can use
And that just adds a little bit of different character to them.
It'll turn brown, but it's still delicious. Also, so what I did, I think I said, but I'm going to say it again, I did like 2 dashes of it, basically just dash of this. I don't like it too sweet. Some prefer it sweeter than others. When you make it, you tend to make it a little bit sweeter.
A little bit sweeter. I just use like 1 big squeeze per person.
He's sweet.
Next is
Peychaud's bitters, and Peychaud's is, I think it's so much a New Orleans thing. It's manufactured in New Orleans. It's a specific type of aromatic bitter. Very classic. We're going to do 3 dashes of that. Just throw that in there. And now we're going to stir the ice.
a lot of times it's going to have like this really nice, because of the Peychaud bitter, it's going to have almost like a red characteristic to it.
Yeah, it's a little
to the drink, yeah, almost like a pink character.
You'll see once this is poured out, you'll get the sense.
Oh, we need to get
Yeah, we need a strainer. That's one thing we forgot to bring over here. Oh well. All right, we found it. I'm gonna do my best to use No, I want to use the julep strainer.
Okay.
Now it's a challenge. So I like to give it a good stir, a good long stir. Don't be afraid of stirring too long.
So with the julep spoon, like she's showing you a little bit different technique. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure that it's braced across, and then you use one of your fingers to lock it in.
And I don't have very
She
big
has
hands,
tiny hands,
so it's
guys,
kind of unwieldy for me. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and that's why she does the traditional Hawthorne strainer, because honestly, it just is so much easier for her little hands.
Okay, so now we've got our cocktail in our. We're also using a small. What is this, like a plastic?
It's old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned glass, but it's small. It's not the bigger size that you're used to. We have a lemon peel that we're going to express by twisting it over the top of it.
That just squirts a little bit of that citric acid and oil on there, and you wipe it around, and then just drop it in. And guys, you are all done. Enjoy your Sazerac, and bon vivant. Live that good life.
Cheers.
Have a kiss.
It's Sazerac.